What's going on, guys? Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Amigoscode. In this course, I'm going to teach you about the best IDE that you should be using as a Python developer. PyCharm is by far the best IDE when it comes to Python development. Whether you want to do backend development, web development, connecting to databases, integration with Git, PyCharm has everything that you need. In this course, I'm going to make sure that you know this IDE inside out, and you'll see that by knowing the ins and outs of this IDE, you will become a much better developer. I think that if you are serious about becoming a better engineer, then you should know your IDE inside out. For this course, I literally have a surprise for you, so just give me a minute or so and I'm going to give you something really cool. If you're new to Amigoscode, go ahead and subscribe, give me a thumbs up so I can keep on recording these videos. Also, if you're not part of the Amigoscode community, go ahead and check both the private Facebook group as well as Discord, where we are there helping each other and learning from each other how to code. And I would love you to have you there. Without further ado, let's kick off this course. Right, for this course, what I want you to do is to try and practice as I teach. I don't want you just to watch the video and not learn from it. I really want to add value and make sure that at the end of this course, you are a better Python developer by knowing how to use your IDE inside out. Literally, practice as I teach. Also, if you haven't joined the private Facebook group as well as Discord, join, because if you have any questions, then you can ask on the group and people are ready to help you. Literally, people are ready to help you. And also, I would love to have you there so that you can share your knowledge with others. This is all for now. Let's kick off this course. The first thing that we need to do in order to use Python is to install it in our machine. So navigate to python.org, and in this page right here, you can see that we've got the downloads link. So go ahead and click on downloads. And right here, because I'm on a Mac, I can see the download link for Mac OS. But if you're on Windows, simply click on Windows, or Linux, you can simply use the version specific for your operating system, which is cool. Also, right here, you can see that these are the active releases. So the active release right now, so the latest one is 3.8 right here. And if I show you, so 2.7 has reached end of life. So you shouldn't really be using this version right here. And if I scroll down, you can see that we can have, specific release versions, right? But usually just go ahead and download the latest version, which has support until 2024. So right here, you can see that the latest version as I speak is 3.8.5. You might watch this video later, and if there is a new version, everything that I'm going to teach you in this course will work with the version that you will install. So let me go ahead and simply download Python. There we go, that's finished. Now let me open up the downloads folder, and in here you can see that I've got Python. So let me simply click on it, and let me just collapse this. So the installation process for both Windows and Mac OS is really straightforward. You just simply have to press continue and then agree and then install. So before I actually press or actually put my password, if you are on Windows, make sure to tick the box that says add Python to the path, right? So that's really important so that you can use Python from your terminal. So on the Mac, it does it for me. So right here, let me put my password, install, just give you a second. And there we go. So we've successfully installed Python. Next, let's go ahead and install a program that will allow us to write Python code. When it comes to Python, there are two text editors which are the most popular one. So you've got VsCode, which is amazing, but there is a product from JetBrains called PyCharm, and this is by far the best IDE for Python developers. So go ahead and install PyCharm because it's amazing, and I always recommend JetBrains product because the integration that they give you, it's amazing, right? So what PyCharm really does for you, it's like a text editor, but with a bunch of features that allows you to be more productive. So with VS Code, you actually need to install a bunch of plugins to get the best out of it. But with PyCharm, everything is out of the box. So let's go ahead and download PyCharm. And in here, you can see the version for, let me just zoom this. So you can see a version for both, or actually Mac, Linux, and Windows. So go ahead and download the one for your operating system. And also you can see that there are two versions. So you've got the professional, which comes with extra features for web development, including HTML, JavaScript, and SQL support. But for most of the time, the community edition is more than enough. So go ahead and download the community edition, which is free and you don't have to pay anything. So I'm just going to allow, just give it a second. All right, so that's done. Let me open up the downloads folder. And right here, you can see that we have the PyCharm community. So let's go ahead and double click on that. And then in here, the installation process, it's very simple. So simply drag and drop this into applications, and there we go. Now let me simply search for PyCharm and then open it up. Open. Right here, simply say do not import settings if this is the first time that you are installing PyCharm. And then right here, so if you've never used PyCharm, go ahead and stick with these key mappings. You can also choose the actual UI theme. So if you want light or dark, so I'm going to go with dark. And what I'm going to do is simply skip remaining and set defaults. And there we go. We successfully installed PyCharm. Next, let's go ahead and write our very first Python program. Right, as you saw, we have two versions when it comes to PyCharm. We've got the community as well as professional. And professional gives you extra features when it comes, for example, to web development or connecting to databases, for example, right? So it's actually the IDE that you will need. So you don't need anything else but PyCharm. So I highly recommend you to try PyCharm. And you might be thinking, right, PyCharm is actually a paid version, but don't you worry. I've got a code that you can use and try PyCharm for 4 months for free. Just use the Amigoscode code when you try it out. And this was the surprise that I wanted to give you. This is all for now. Let's carry on. To create our very first program, let's go ahead and create a new project. And right here, you can give it a name as well as the actual location where the project is stored. So for my example, I'm going to simply name this as my, and then Python, and then app. And then you see right here where it says base interpreter, you can see that we have Python 3.8. So this is the version that we've just downloaded. So if I click on this drop down, you can see all the different versions of Python that I have. But let's go ahead and stick with the latest one. And basically what an interpreter is, it's a program that executes your Python code. That's literally what it is. And then right here, you see that we have this checkbox, create a main.py welcome script. Basically, if it's ticked, untick it because I want to show you everything from scratch. Go ahead and untick the box if it is ticked, and then simply create. All right, so now we have PyCharm open. So this is the main screen right here. You can see a bunch of controls, but don't worry because I'm going to teach you exactly what everything means. So you might see a page like this, or you can see, so right here, it's actually, teaching us how to use PyCharm. You can see search everywhere, double type the shift key to open the project view, command 1, go to file, and you can see basically these are some of the keyboard shortcuts. And to be fair, you will see, the power of keyboard shortcuts within PyCharm, but what I want to show you is on the bottom lower corner right here, you have this square, right? So this is a button. So what I'm going to do is click on it, and you can see that everything disappeared, right? So in case you don't see all of those tabs, right, just click on it, and then all of these tabs will come up. And right here, remember that we installed Python 3.8, right? So you can see the actual version right here. So Python 3.8, and then the name of our app. So if I click on that, you can see that we have the interpreter. So this is a program that executes our Python program. We can even add one. We don't need to add one because we've got the latest one. And if you want to access the interpreter settings, you can do so. So I'm going to click on it. And this brings me into the interpreter settings with a bunch of packages right here. So these are the packages that make up the interpreter, right? So all of this is Python packages, right? We don't have to worry about none of this. So let me cancel out of this. And there you have it. Now that you've reached this far, next, let's go ahead and create a very simple Python application. Right, now let's create a program that will print to the console something. So right here, you can see that we have the project tab. So you can click on it. So what I'm going to do from this course is actually teach you a bunch of keyboard shortcuts, right? And the reason why I always emphasize keyboard shortcuts is because they make you a much better developer. You become much more productive, right? Because you know how to use the IDE inside out instead of having to rely on, for example, if my mouse is here, I need to go all the way here and then click on project. So right here, you see that we can open the project, right? By pressing command and then 1, right? And you'll see the equivalent for Windows. So I'm going to press command 1 and you can see that it opened right here. So now inside of my Python app right here, so this is the project that we have created. I'm going to expand it, and then inside here, right click and then new, and then choose Python and then file. There you go. So we've got a couple of options here. We've got Python file, Python for unit testing, stub, but let's just keep Python file. So go ahead and type main and then enter. There we go. So this is our file. So main.py, and in here we can write some code. So I'm going to collapse this project tab so I can press here, or I can press command and then 1, just like that. So keep on remembering these keyboard shortcuts as I teach you throughout this course. So let's create a very simple program. So the program will just print to the console, right? So we're just going to focus on learning the IDE in this course. If you want to learn more about Python, I've got a complete course on Python teaching you everything you need to know about Python. So for now, type print, and this allows us to print to the console. And then here, I'm going to say py, and then charm is, and then awesome. Just like that. And now we have this program right here that prints to the console. So one thing to bear in mind is you can see that we have the line numbers right here. So line number 1, if I press enter, you can see that we have line number 2. So we can keep track of the number of lines that we have in each of our files. So to run this program, we have a couple of options. So the very first time that you run a program that doesn't contain a main, right? Doesn't contain a main. So what I mean by that is, so right here, let me just command and then X. I'm going to cut this and then type main. Just type main, and you can see that PyCharm is giving us some auto completion, and we're going to cover everything about auto completion. So here I'm going to press enter, and if you notice what we have, right? What we have is this play button right here. So this play button just appeared. So if I remove line 1, so I'm going to press command and then / to comment, right? So I just put the £. You can see that goes away. The play button goes away. So what I had before was PyCharm is awesome, right? So the 2 ways to run it is if you have the main. So here the main, right? You saw that this play button comes up and we can run it. So let's just click on it, and we have a couple of options. We can run, debug, or create. So what we want to do is just run. And here you can see that we have PyCharm is awesome. Now let me go back for a second, and what I want you to show you is this. So I'm going to comment this, and if you haven't noticed, we have the play button right here. So this is the play button, right? And I'm going to explain this in a second. But now click on this drop down and then edit configurations, and then Python inside delete main. We're going to remove that configuration and then press apply. Okay. So now we don't have the play button here. And how do we run a program just like this? So we can just right click, and then we have the ability to run main. And there we go. So now we can run the main file just like this. So what this creates for us is a run configuration, which is this. So this is what you saw here, right? So this run configuration is the configuration that we can use from now on to run the application, right? So if you want to run the application, you just click on run main here, and it's just going to use the configuration that we have, right? We haven't specified anything, so we haven't edited, but we have a configuration, so we can run it as many times as we want. Now, another way that you can run the program is also by rerunning. So here you can see that we have rerun and then main. And if you look carefully, we have the keyboard shortcuts as well, right? You can see the keyboard shortcut is Control and then F5. If you want to run, is Shift and then F10. So you can rerun and you can run. So you saw 3 ways of running your actually 4 ways. So you can rerun, you can run by clicking the play button here. When you have a run configuration, we can right click and then run main. And if we have so let me actually delete this again. So you see, so inside of this configuration, basically we can add, for example, environment variables, interpreter options, working directory, execution. So we can customize this quite a lot, right? And we can even allow parallel runs. So we're not going to mess up with these values. So here I'm going to press OK. And actually what I wanted to do was to delete the configuration. So just let me delete and then apply, OK. And then you can see that now the only way that we can run is by right clicking, or we can open up the run tab here, right? Or if we have the main method, just like that, and now we can run from here. So there you have it. We've created an application, and now you know various ways of running Python code with Pycharm. Before we move on with this course, I want to do two things which will benefit you quite a lot. So what I want you to do is to go to Pycharm, so here at the very top, and click on Preferences. So Preferences, and you can see the keyboard shortcut. So with Pycharm, there is a keyboard shortcut for everything. So you can either click Preferences, or I'm going to press Command and then comma, and there you go. So this is the interpreter that you saw before. And here we can customize the settings, right? So the first thing that I want to do here is the following. Go to plugins, and in here you can see that we have a list of installed plugins. So installed, and then these are all the installed plugins by default, right? So you can see that we have Git, GitHub, Mercurial, Subversion, Copyright, IntelliLang, Machine Learning, Terminal. So basically these are stuff that comes with Pycharm, right? So what I want to do is switch to Marketplace, and here we can search for third-party plugins. So right here you can see that we have Material. So this is the actual Material theme UI. So if you want to experiment with this, you can do it, but I'm going to show you exactly in a second how to work with themes. But what I want to do is I'm going to install this plugin called Presentation and then Assistant. And you can see the ratings right here, and actually the name is here, right? Presentation Assistant. So what this plugin allows you to do is to learn the keyboard shortcuts. And as I teach you throughout this course, you will be able to see the keyboard shortcuts that I'm using. So go ahead and install. There we go. And then apply and OK. Now, if it asks you to restart Pycharm, do so to pick up the changes. Now, let's see whether we have it installed. So what I'm going to do here is the following. I'm going to right click and then run. And now check this out. At the very bottom, you can see that we have the keyboard shortcut, right? So this is why I want to make sure that you have Presentation Assistant. So it's really awesome. Now let's go back to Preferences. So Pycharm, Preferences, or keyboard shortcut, Command and then comma. And in here, let's search for Presentation. Oh, actually not there, my bad. Sorry, in here, Presentation and then Assistant. So here, it's under Appearance and Behaviors. So right here. So here we can customize Presentation Assistant. We can say, right, you can display for 4 seconds right here. We can even increase the font size. So let me say something a little bit bigger. So let's say 60, right? So you can see it properly. And let's change this to 5 seconds. So you see the keyboard shortcuts, right? And then you can say, right, you can move it to the right, to the top, bottom, and here, right, the main key maps you can see here, it's Mac OS. So Mac OS is the main key maps, and I'm going to touch on key mapping in a second, but for now, leave it as it is. And then here, the alternative key maps is whatever you want, right? So because I know a lot of you are using Mac OS or Windows, right? And because I'm on a Mac, I want to show the alternatives as well for Windows users right here. And then apply. And then OK. We're going to come back to that page in a second for Keymaps. Now, if I right click again and then run, you can see the keyboard shortcuts down below, and it's taking 5 seconds. And now you can learn about keyboard shortcuts. So please make sure to install Presentation Assistant, because it will teach you how to use keyboard shortcuts over time. And when you realize, you'll be flying using Pycharm. Right, the second thing that I wanted to do is to change the key mappings. So key mappings is something that you need to decide which key mappings that you prefer. So go to settings, so command and then comma, or Pycharm here and then preferences, right? So actually preferences. So here you see that we have Keymaps. So click on that. And my key mapping of choice is IntelliJ IDEA Classic. So this is what I go for. So I've been using IntelliJ. So IntelliJ is another IDE which is mainly for Java development. And if you want to learn about IntelliJ, I also have a full course on how to use IntelliJ IDEA. But I've been using IntelliJ for quite some time, and this is what I prefer, right? So this is what I'm used to, and this is what I feel most comfortable with, right? Because I know every keyboard shortcut. If you came from, for example, Sublime Text, you can choose Sublime, or Emacs, you can also choose Emacs. You can also install extra Keymaps. So to follow along in this course, I highly suggest you to use the same Keymaps as me, and you'll see that this is one of the best ones. So usually my colleagues and I, we have long discussions on which is the best Keymaps, and you know, to be honest, it's just a personal preference. But to follow along in this course, choose the IntelliJ IDEA Classic and then apply if you have to. Now going back to Presentation Assistant, remember, so Presentation Assistant under Appearance and Behavior, Presentation Assistant. So here the Keymaps is IntelliJ IDEA Classic. So this is the one that I'm using. So if I apply and then OK, now here, if I press Command and then W, and this selects a word, you can see the selection, right? So via Command W. So I'm going to press Command W again, and you can see the keyboard shortcut for IntelliJ IDEA Classic as well as for Windows. So this is something that I need you to set because it's important that you follow along with the exact same key maps. If you want to change the key maps, there is a keyboard shortcut, and that is Control and then tilde. So you can see right there, or actually Control, and then I think it's like the backslash, but it's where the tilde is. So Control and then tilde for me, and you can see there the keyboard shortcut, and then go to Keymap, and then you can change it like this, right? So you can say if you're on Mac OS, for example, or Emacs, but the one that we chose was this one here. So if I change to Mac OS, now we have Mac OS. So let me change it back. So I'm going to use keyboard shortcut. So Control and then tilde for me. And right here, I'm going to press 3. So we can even use the keyboard 3. And then I want 3 again, which is the IntelliJ IDEA Classic. And there you go. So this is how you set your keymaps with Pycharm. When you're brand new to an IDE, the first thing that you might want to do is always customize things. So we've installed Presentation Assistant, we've set the key mappings, and now let's learn how to change the theme. So color theme, there are tons available, and it really comes down to personal choice. So let's open up settings. So I'm going to press Command and then comma, or just go to PyCharm and then preferences. I don't know why I keep saying settings, but it's actually preferences. So there we go. Now in here, so appearance and behavior, right? In here, if I expand this, under appearance, so here, right, appearance, or in here, it's the same thing, appearance, you can see that we have the theme right here. So theme, and we have a couple of themes here. So we have Dracula, light, IntelliJ light, high contrast, so on and so forth. We also have so here, the font. So this is the overall font for your IDE. It's not the actual text within where you type your code, and I'm going to show you that in a second, but this is for the overall IDE. So here, for example, if I change this from 48 to 22, for example, I just want you to see that this will be tiny, right? But I want 42 because I want you to see crystal clear. So 42 here, and here, let me just change this to IntelliJ light and then apply. And you can see that now everything is white. And to be honest, the light theme doesn't look that bad. But the reason why I don't use it is because if you sit down in front of the screen for many hours, it's just going to get your eyes tired. So I usually just use the Dracula here. And then, oh, actually, let me show you the eye contrast first. Apply. And you can see that this looks actually cool as well. And macOS Light, what's the difference there? Yeah, this is just the macOS theme. But usually I just go with Dracula. So here, apply. So this is the actual theme, right? Now we have the color scheme as well. So this is not inside of appearance, but it is inside of editor, and then color, and then scheme. So here we have more than one option actually. So we have a bunch of options here. So let's try Monokai, which is a very popular one. Apply, and then OK. And you can see that now this is the actual color. This is the actual color theme, and it's completely different. So you might prefer this one because it has a lot of contrast. But if I go back, so let's try a different one. So Twilight, this one is also good. You can see that I actually like this one quite a lot, to be honest. And let me go back there as well, and let me show you one more. And usually you will end up playing with all of these color themes. Apply, and this one is not bad actually. But to be fair, they are all nice. So let me go back here, and what I'm going to do is just stick with Dracula. So I'm going to go with the default theme, apply. And if I go back and open up plugins, so here, if I type inside of Marketplace, make sure you are inside of Marketplace, type theme, just like that, and you can see that we have a bunch of themes right here. So Material UI, One Dark, this is from Atom, I believe, Dracula, and many others, right? So this is how you install more themes to PyCharm. Now I'm going to press OK. And one tip is, if you want to quickly switch themes, press Control and then tilde. So where the tilde key is, or the backtick. And now check this out. We can edit the color scheme. So if I press enter, you can see that we can choose between those, right? So if I want Monokai, I just press 6, and there we go. If I go back, so control and then back tick, and here theme as well, so I can press 5 and now I can change, right? So this is just a quick tip. So actually here it even gives you the preview, right? So light, macOS light, Dracula, high contrast. So I'm going to leave the Dracula one and then press Control tilde or backtick once more. And let's go to color scheme once more. And here you can, if you want GitHub, I don't think I've showed you this one, but this one is actually all white. So it will change everything. So if I press yes, you can see that this is the GitHub color scheme, and it's actually quite nice. I'm not going to lie. And one thing that I would like to know is which color theme that you prefer. So let me know, are you a dark or light color scheme guy or girl? So if I revert, so I'm going to go with dark for now. So Dracula, and then yes, and there you have it. So this is how you go about changing the overall theme with Pycharm. So if you want to enlarge the font size, you can use your mouse. So here I'm going to enlarge by using my trackpad, and you can see that I'm enlarging things, right? So this is actually too large. Or I can just make it smaller, and this is the biggest font size that I have set. So if you want to make it even smaller than this, go to preferences, so command and then comma, and then here the cool thing is we can search for font, and you can see that we have font size in here. So under editor and then font here, so you can change the actual font, right? So you can change between these available ones, but I usually just stick with the default, is more than enough. And then the size here, so if I go to, for example, 14, or instead let's go 16 here, because I think it's the one that it accepts. And you can see that now this is actually smaller, right? So this is the 16. It's actually much smaller because now I can make it smaller, right? But if I go back here and if I change it to 24, for example, and you can see right here, so right at the bottom, right here, you can see the actual size that it looks like. So because I've got big monitor, I need something big, and because I want to teach you Pycharm, I want you to see everything properly. So this is why I crank it up all the way to 50, but you shouldn't need to do it, right? You shouldn't need to put it all the way to 50. And the reason why it's not changing for me is because I'm actually enlarging with my mouse like this. But if you don't do it, you'll actually see how big and how small it becomes. So that's how to change the font size. Now you see that when we run this program, so let's run it again, we also have the console font right here. So we can also change that. So let me go back. So command and then comma, and then type font. So the cool thing is we can always search for things. So font, and you can see here console font right here, and you can either use the defaults, and you can basically I've maxed out as well to 50, so you can see everything properly. But you can go ahead and override and make it look according to your liking. So this is how to increase and decrease font sizes with Pycharm. Right, now that we have completely set up Pycharm, let's now go ahead and understand exactly how to find things and where things are located. So right here, you saw that you can run your application from these buttons right here on the top corner, right? And then this is your configuration, basically where you can pass, for example, environment variables and other things. that I've showed you. Then moving on the actual menus. So you saw that here we have Pycharm, and this is where we can access the preferences. So you saw it. Then we have file. So this section right here. So this is where, for example, you can create a new file. You can create a scratch file. You can close. You can rename the project, save all, manage IDE settings, and export. Right. So this is the section to go if you need to do any of these. Then we have edit. So edit, this is mainly when we are on the actual IDE, right? So writing code. So we can cut, we can copy, delete. I'm going to show exactly all of these, but here you can find, for example, if you want to find a piece of text, you can do it. Find usages as well. So it's very useful. And then you have selections, extending selections, toggle case. So for example, if you want to have uppercase or not, joining lines, duplicate, sorting, and emojis and symbols. So don't worry about all of these, because we're gonna dive deep into some of these functionalities, and you'll see that we're not even going to use these menus because we're going to learn keyboard shortcuts, right? So you can see right next to every single section, every single menu item here, there is a keyboard shortcut right here. Next we have view. So this is where you can basically enter, for example, in presentation mode, right? So for example, if you are presenting, if I click there, you can see that now this is like presentation mode, right? So there is nothing here, and it's actually kind of cool, right? Because I can teach you Python like this without you seeing all the commands. Let me actually run and see. Wow, this is actually big. Right, let's not use this for this course. So here, let me actually go back, appearance, and then I can exit. And there you have it. You can also select more than one of those appearances, right? So you've got Zen mode. You can exit full screen if you want. And then you have like recent files. You can compare. And here you're seeing that, for example, if you want to quickly switch your theme, this is the keyboard shortcut, and you saw how we do it before, right? Then navigation. So if you want to navigate your way around, finding classes, highlighting the next error, declaration of usages, finding implementations, file structure, call hierarchy, and a bunch of other really interesting things that I'm going to show you through this course. Then we have code. So this is where we can generate some code. For example, comment right here, it's command and then forward slash, my bad. If you want to format your code, so that's the command there. For example, if this is like that, and then just like this, if I press command and then option L, you can see that it did format the code, and you can see formatted one line. I'm going to touch on all of that as well. Then you have refactor. So this is where you want to refactor your code, renaming files. So you should really be using these features because they make sure that you rename across the entire project and not just one file. Then we have run. So this is what you saw before, right? So where I told you this is how you run your program, but this is another way, right? You can click on run. Oh, actually, let me go back, run, and then you can run. But usually I tend not to use this menu here because there's no need really. Then you have tools. So again, tools, this is more for switching, creating tasks, switching tasks, saving files as templates. And then you have VCS. So this is when working, for example, with Git, right? So any version control. You have window, so we can restore the layout. If you mess up the layout, then we can restore. And then you have help. So in here, the cool thing is you can search for anything. So if I search, for example, terminal, you can see that it's telling me, right, so this is the terminal, and you can see that it's telling me where it actually lives, right? So it's under view, and then tool windows, and then terminal, right? If I say, for example, rename, There you go. So you see that rename is in the refactor and then rename. So if you want to search, sometimes I tend to search like this, not that often. There are better ways of searching, but this is one way. So there you have it. So I just wanted to walk you through these menus because I feel they are really important for you to understand exactly what they mean. And as you use PyCharm more and more, you'll find that you'll never use these menus, because I'm going to make sure you memorize all the keyboard shortcuts so that you don't have to access things from within these menus. So this is all. Next, let me show you these tabs right here. So project, structure, run, problems, and others. Right, so earlier in this course, I told you that if you click on this button right here, basically all of those menus, they go away. And then this is kind of more of a distraction-free mode, right? So if you want to access, you click there, and then it brings up all of these tabs actually. So let's go one by one and understand what they are. So remember, I said that if you want to open the project tab, so here you press Command and then 1. And you can see the keyboard shortcut down below, right? So here, this is the folder structure for your application. So this is where all the Python code will go, right? And then you have external libraries. So these are things that you install. Now, what I want you to see here carefully is you see these tabs right here, project and then structure, favorites, and then run. Have a look. There is a number, right? So there is a number there, right? So what that means is if I press, for example, here, have a look, 7 and then structure. If I press Command and then 7, you can see that open, and you can see the keyboard shortcut down below, right? So Command 7, that opens, Command 7, again, that closes, Command 1 closes the project tab. If I want to open the favorites, you can see that we have opened favorites, and this is where we can bookmark things and set favorites within our IDE, right? So Command 2, and that goes away. If I press Command 4 right here, you see that it's the run. You can press Command 4, that opens up, and Command 6, that opens up. Let this disappear. We can open up the problems. So there you have it. So I just wanted to show you that if you want to open those, you can use the keyboard shortcut instead of manually clicking, which is much faster. So here you see that you have to-dos. So there isn't a number here, but you can definitely customize it, right? So to-dos are simply a list of to-dos that you have within your code. So for example, here, if I was to have a comment, and to have a comment, I press Command and then /. And if you forgot, just go to help, help, and then comment. And then check this out, command with line, comment with line comment, it's command and then /. So here, I'm going to press Command /. And here I'm going to type to do. And then fix, and then bug. And then right here, have a look, found one to do in file. So if I open it up, you can see that. So let me just expand this. It's telling me exactly what it is. So line number 2, and then 7. So 7, you count here. So basically is the position, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. This is what it's telling me, right? So you can see that it's really nice. So here, if I have another to do, and then implement tests, right? You can see that it's right away. So this is how you find your to-dos that you have within code. And usually you'll tend to have lots of to-dos because you might have a feature that you don't want to implement now, and you might just say, right, so this is a to-do which I need to come back to it later. So that's the to-do. then we have terminal here. So terminal. And actually, let me touch upon terminal next, right? So on a separate video, but this is the actual terminal, right? So right, or Windows is the command line, and then you also have the Python console here. So both are the same, and if you want to write some Python code here, for example, I can say print and then hello and then enter. You can see that we have hello. If I say age equals to and then 19, enter, now you can see that we have the variable right here. So we have track of things. I usually don't use this unless I'm actually debugging things and just experiment with a couple of things. It's mainly like for debugging purposes, if I want to test one code. But even that, I usually write tests, and I'm going to show you tests later in this course. So that's the Python console. So if I collapse this, and one thing which is really interesting here is, let me just show you. If, for example, you decide that you don't like the position of this window right here, right? So this run window, I'm going to take this and then drag it to the side, just like that. And you can see that now it's on the right hand side here, right? So you can pretty much just move all of these tabs around if you don't like their position. So usually, sometimes I have it like this if I have like a wide screen, but not that often. Or sometimes if I'm teaching, I like to have, for example, the coding section on this side, on the left hand side, and then the actual result on the right hand side. So let me actually go and reset the defaults. So window, and then here we can restore default layout or shift F12. So let's press shift and then F12, and you can see that we've restored the layout with keyboard shortcuts. So there you have it. I just wanted to show you these sections right here because they are really important to us and you're going to be using them quite a lot. Next, let me go ahead and teach you about this terminal section right here. Like many other IDEs, with PyCharm, you have the terminal as well bundled in. So instead of you using your own terminal, you can pretty much just use the one that comes with PyCharm. And what this means, it means that you don't have to leave your IDE. You can do pretty much everything in here. So to access, just click on terminal and there you have it. So here, if I type pwd or dir on Windows, so pwd, you can see that this is the location for this project right here. I have the commands like ls-al, and I can see basically all the files. So this is our main.py, so on and so forth. So I'm not going to teach you about how to use the terminal or command line because I've got a free course just on that. So make sure to check it out if you want to learn how to use it. And as you start your career, this is a vital skill that you need to have. Knowing how to use terminal and command line is a must, right? It's not scary, and I break it down step by step for you. So what I want to teach you here is that you have a terminal, but the cool thing is, if you want, for example, a new session, you can have a new session. So here I'm going to press new session, and there you have it. So maybe on this session, you might be running, for example, a something in the background where you can't really stop it. And then on this session, you might do, like, for example, you're copying files, you're moving files, so on and so forth, right? And that is if you need to. And for example, if you want to run within your terminal, if you want to run your application, just say Python and then main.py, enter, and you can see that we get the exact same output, right? So this is how you run Python from within your terminal. But obviously I've showed you that we can run it from here, right? So why would you run it from the terminal? So this is all. Catch me on the next one. All right, now let me show you how to perform some basic editing with PyCharm. So let's say that you want to duplicate this line. One option is to select the whole line, Command C, and then enter, Command V, and there you go, right? So that's not the right way of doing it. The same if you want to delete this line, right? I've just selected it and then delete, and you can see that it's not great, right? So if you want to duplicate a line, press Command and then D, and you can see that we have duplicated the line. If I press again, you can see that it's been duplicated, and you can see the keyboard shortcuts for Windows as well. If I want to delete, I press Command and then Y. Command Y to delete a line. I can press the up arrow and then delete, and there you have it. If you want to undo the changes, Command Z, and you can see that it just undoes the line, right? There we go, Command Z. So Command Y to delete and Command D to duplicate. And if I want to cut the line, right? So if I want to cut this line so that I can paste it somewhere else, right? I can select it like this and then Command and then X. So that cuts the line. But you saw that we had to select it first, right? So here, what I'm going to do is press. So I'm going to press Command and then W. And now check this out. This is actually selecting word. So I'm going to press Command and then W again. And you can see that it's just extending the selection. Command W, Command W, Command W. And you can see that it just keeps on expanding, expanding, expanding. And if I want to shrink, Command Shift W. And then if I want to delete that, I can just delete. Or if I want to delete the entire line, or if I want to cut the entire line, right? I'll just select everything, Command and then X. So you can see the power of knowing these keyboard shortcuts. And if you need help, click on the menu and then edit, and you can find everything that we've done here, right? But I'm just teaching you the keyboard shortcuts along the way so that you benefit from it. Let's say that, so here, so let's select everything within double quotes. So Command W, and there you have it. If I say, for example, let's say that we have Ahmed, right? Ahmed. So this is a name. If I want to put everything in uppercase, I'm gonna select that. So Command and then W, and then Command Shift and then U for upper. And check this out, right? So it's just toggling the case. Command Shift and then U, lowercase. If I want to lowercase everything here, I can press Command Shift U, lowercase everything, Command Shift U again, and you can see everything is now uppercase. So let me actually undo that one. And right here, let me just uppercase A, Command Shift U, and there we have it. Now, one cool thing here that I want to teach you is, let's say that in here, you want to have a space, right? You want to have a space in between line 5 and line 4 so that you can write or so that you can type anything, right? So let's say that you are right here and basically you want to do this. You want to go here and then enter and then go here and then type. You saw that took me a while, right? So I'm going to press Command and then Z. And what And what I'm going to do is press Command, Option, and then Enter. And you can see that this is so much quicker, right? Have a look at the keyboard shortcut. So let me do it again. So even if I'm here, Command, Option, and then Enter. And now I can type something here, right? So this is cool. Now again, Command Shift, Command Option, and then Enter, and you can see it's just the line above. If you want the line underneath, you press Command Shift, right? So instead of Option, it's Command Shift and then O. There you have it, right? And this is really cool because now you can see that I don't have to use the arrows and then press Enter to add a space, or actually a new line. So here I can just use the keyboard shortcuts, right? Let's say that we say print, right? And let's say that we don't have this line here. So we are here and we're saying and then med, right? And you can see that we are missing the ending parentheses. So what we can do is press the same, so Command and then Option and then Enter. So that will complete the statement and then move to the next line. Check this out. Command Shift Enter, and actually it didn't move to the next line, so I need to press it again, and there you go. Let's say that you want to indent this file. So right here, you can see that this is not well formatted. So to format this file, you can press Option, Command, and then L. And you can see that everything is formatted, and apart from the last line. So I want this like that, in fact. So if I have another one here, for example, you can see that that moves it there and here. So if I don't have a new line, you can see that this is actually saying that no new line at the end of file, and it's saying to reformat the file. So that's exactly what I've been doing, right? So if I press Command and then Option L, it formats the file and we are good to go. The same if you have some spaces here. I think if you have spaces there, no, because that's part of the string, right? But I think, yeah, so I meant outside here, right? So this is wrong, right? I mean, you can technically do it, but it is wrong. But if you want to format everything and maybe you have a space here, you have another space there, and basically this is not right. So if you want to format things, just press Command, Option, and then L, and formatted 3 lines. If you want to reorder, so if you want to reorder, for example, line 6 with line 5, you can press Shift and then Option, and then you can reorder like that. So you can see that I'm moving it up. I'm just using the arrow, and you can see the keyboard shortcut down below, and I move it down, up, down, just like that. Search within Pycharm. So what we're going to do is open the project tab, and right here open the My Python app folder, and for now let's create a file. And you see that I can use my mouse there, or I can press Control Enter and then Python file. So I'm just using the keyboard. I'm just using my keyboard. So Python file, and let's say that you have utils here, and let's have another file. So here type math, and you can name these as you want. So .py. So I actually forgot to select the Python file. There you have it. Now let's learn how to search. So if you want to search, you have 2 options. You can search literally everywhere by pressing Shift 2 times. So Shift 1, Shift twice. And actually, you see, so I've typed shift twice, but I was too slow, so I need to be a bit quicker. So there we go. This brings this search bar right here. So for you, you're not going to see it full screen because my font size is like maxed out. So for you, it will be smaller. But you can see that now I can search literally anything. So if I was to say, for example, print, you can see that it's searching the entire thing. So here I can say, for example, oops, let me press shift again 2 times. Oops, there you go. So if I search, for example, Git, you can see that it's searching literally anything. And this is why I was telling you that there is a better way of searching. And this is like literally you are searching through everything. Now you can narrow down your searches. So for example, if you just want classes, right, you can see that we have classes here, we have files, symbols, and actions. So for each of these, so if I highlight the all, you can see it's a double shift. Classes is Command N, files Command Shift N, or Shift Command N, symbols, and then actions. So you can see the keyboard shortcuts for all of those, right? So if I want to narrow down, so if I press Command N, you'll see that now it's only searching for classes. So if I, for example, now remove Git, right? So let's say that I want to search for a class called math, just like that. And you can see that we found one class called math, and this is within our file, right? So let's, within our project actually, sorry. So if I remove, and let's try and search for something that begins with S, and have a look, we have sanitizer from Python text-to-speech drivers. You might not even see this, but it's depending on what you have. So scanner from JSON, so scanner, there we go, right? So this is how you search for files. So you saw that we had math, we also had utils. So this is how we search. So if you want to search for files, Command Shift N, right? And files is kind of the same thing in Python, right? Because technically that's a file, but usually, for example, if you had, let's create a new file, and here I'm going to say, let's say, for example, students.json, right? So this is a JSON file, and here let's just be an empty so that it doesn't complain. Now I can press Shift Command and then N to search for files, and then student, and there you have it. We're not going to cover symbols and actions. So actions, basically, you remember that you saw that we could move a statement up, right? So that's an action. You can technically search for it right here, and you remember I showed you the keyboard shortcut, but you've got many actions right here. So let's say that you want to delete, for example, and there you have it. You can see how to delete a line, how to delete a word, and basically all of these are actions, right? And you can search for whatever action is available to you. So here, so search everywhere, so that's an action. And the cool thing is you get the shortcuts with it, right? And there you have it. That's actions in action. So if I say, for example, scratch card, so if I want to create a scratch card, so this is like a file which I can use it just for playing around. I can do it by using the keyboard shortcut or just use the action. So if I press enter here, you can see that we can create scratch cards from different languages. So Python, regex, XML, YAML, so on and so forth. So there you have it. You saw the search functionality. It's super powerful, and go ahead and practice to become super confident when searching with Pycharm. Let's learn another way of searching with Pycharm. So open up the students.json, and right here, what I want to do is have, for example, name, a key name, and then let's say Ali, and then comma, let's say that Ali has cars, and this will be an array. And for now, let's just say BMW, and then a Tesla. Let's let's take this object, so cut that, and this will be an array, and I'm going to press Option, Command, and an L to indent, and you can see that it works with literally anything, right? And here I'm going to press comma. Well, actually, let me just take this and then comma here, and then paste that there. This will be Maria, and then Maria has Audi, and that's it, right? She only has one car. So now let's learn how to search. So basically we've got, you know, some text that we want to search. If I open main.py, you can see that we have some text. So previously you saw that we can search by pressing Shift N or Shift Command N or double Shift. And if I search for, let's say, Maria, this is not searching text. It's just the searching functionality for classes, files, symbols, and actions, right? So here you see that we have all, and all searches for everything, right? But what we want is to search for this word within our IDE. So let me escape out of this. So I'm going to press escape, and to search, right? So let me actually show you. So here I can say search, I can type find, and basically this is what we want. So find, we've got the find section. So let's go to edit, edit, and then find, and you can see that just press Command and then F, and this will search. So if I press Shift Command F, or actually just Command F, my bad. If I search for Ahmed, you can see that it searches for Ahmed. If I search for is, you can see that we found is. If I search for A, we have multiple A's, and then we have the arrows here, so we can find the previous occurrence. Or so because this is too big, is not letting me find the next occurrence, right, which is the arrow next to it here, which I can't select. So you should see it, and basically you can search up or down, right? But the limitation with searching like this is that you are only searching within this file. So if you want to search within everywhere, right, I'm going to press Shift, Control, and then F, right? So you can see the keyboard shortcut down below. But now check this out. If you want to search for Maria, you can see that it's searching anywhere, literally anywhere. And here, let's search for Tesla. You can see that we found Tesla, and it's right here. And if I search for is, you can see PyCharm is awesome. And basically now we are searching through the entire project. So this is a much better way of searching. You can search in the project, module, directory, and basically you can narrow it down. Now also here, let's say that we want to search, right? So we want to search for a file mask. So you can say, right, so now I just want to search for anything that ends in .json, and there you have it. So we found our file. So let me go ahead and show you again. So inside of edit, we have find, and you can even replace as well, right? So let's say that I want to replace hello with something else. So I'm going to press Command F and then find, and here you can see that basically you can search through a lot of things, right? You can unselect occurrence as well, and you can even find in path. And find in path is the one I've just showed you, right? You can search literally anywhere. We also have find usages. So this is really cool, right? So if I select find usages, we have nothing. But so here, let's say that we have def and then add. So this takes X and Y. So it's a function that takes X and Y and then return X and then plus and then Y. So if I format this just like that and then go back to main, so I've just pressed Control and then tab, so that takes me back to the previous file, right? So you've learned something new now. So here what I'm going to do is say add and import. I can import right here math.add, and then if I say print and then pass 2 and 2, let me just run it so you see the output. So here it's 4, right? But now if I go to math.py and then if I select this method name, go to edit, find usage, and you can see the keyboard shortcut there, right? And if I select it, now you can see that we have one result, and it's telling me that here. So the add was found inside of main.py line number 9, and you can see that it's even given me here the code snippet. So, and I can click on it and navigate straight to it. And this is really, really cool because if you have a large project, you can search usages just like this. And also here it shows the usage in the import statement here. So math was imported here as well. And you can see that it's taking me right here. So there you have it. What I will do now is to explore these different ways. So go to edit, find usage, and basically they are the same, but here you can highlight the usages, next highlighted, so you can just use the keyboard to move between the next and the previous basically. And then recent find usages of, if I click on that, you can see it's pretty much the same thing. If you have a large project and you want to find out the recently opened files that you had, right? How do you do it, right? Especially if you have, like, let's say 1,000 files, and you can see that here, this will be like so massive, right? So if you want to check which was the previously edited file that you had, how do you do it? So for that, you can press Command and then E. So Command E tells you the recent files, and you can see here recent files, right? So all of these files were the ones that I've been through, right? And here you can show only, changed only, and it's just showing me that I only changed these files here. So this is something to bear in mind. And also here it gives you like some shortcut for terminal, Python console, structure, which I'm going to show you in a second, run, and project, right? So this is recent files. If you want recent edited files, press Shift Command E. And now you can see, or actually recent locations, my bad, right? Recent locations. You can see that this is where I've been previously. And it's showing me everywhere here, right? And this is cool. So for you, you're going to see this much smaller, and for me it's because I've got a large font because I want you to see everything. But this is how you search for recent locations. So here, you know, I've been inside of math.py. I can click on it and jump into it. If I want to see the recent files, you can see that math.py was the recent file. If I open, let's say that we want to open the students JSON. Now if I go to utils.py, so this is empty. If I press Command E, you can see that student JSON comes to the top now. If I press Command Shift E, you can see that student JSON was the recent location here as well. And then math.py, which you saw, and then main.py. So there you have it. This is how you search for recent files and locations. Let me go ahead and show you this awesome way of you drilling down through your Python files. So we have the structure. So this tab right here, which I haven't showed you yet. So let's have a look on what it does. So if I press Command 7, you can see that it opens up the file structure. So select the main.py for now, and then press Command and then 7. And you can see that this is empty. So what this gives us, it gives us a view of the fields as well as methods that we have within any Python file. So here, if I go ahead and create a variable, so if I say, for example, name equals to, and then empty, you can see that we have a V right here. So this is indicating that this is a variable. If I also, so let's put the name here, Jamil, for example, right? So if I have another variable, and then here simply say Jamila, and then name2. So you can see that we have name and name2. And this is really useful when you have a file which has lots of variables and functions. So here, if I, for example, create a function, so if I say def and then lo, so this is just for illustration purposes, but you can see it's actually saying that we have a function, so f for function, and named. So let's say hello, and then here let's say name, and you can see that it even tells us that it takes a parameter name. So if we say this is a string str, it doesn't actually tell us, but I can say return, or actually let's just say print and then name dot and then upper, for example, right? Something like that. So you can see that we have two variables, so name, name2, and then hello. Right here, you see that hello takes name. Now, what is cool about it is that I can click on any of these, and this will take me right into it. So if I press on the first variable, you can see that it's taking me there, variable number 2, and then hello. You can see that this is really, really great. I use this a lot just to see what the file looks like when I cannot see everything under one screen, right? So usually if you have a file that has, let's say, 100 or 200 lines of code, and this is really helpful so that you know exactly how the file is structured. So let's open students.json here, and here the same. So it works brilliantly. So here you can see that it's also working with JSON. So here you see that it's telling, right, this is a JSON file, and then you have two objects, and you can even drill down. You can see the name. If I click on it, it takes me to line number 3. If I click on cars, it takes me to line number 4. So this is really, really great. So one thing which I think is missing here is just the contents inside of this array. So if I, what do I have here? So I have math.py. So here we have one function that takes x and y, and utils.py, the structure is empty. So this is really awesome when you want to inspect your files. Another way that you can access this is if you don't want to press Command 7, because Command 7 will open right on the left panel here. So if I collapse this, I can press, so in here, see that we have name and name2, and this function here. So let's have another function. So here, so let me just indent this just like that, and then say hello to. And what I'm going to do is press Command and then F12. And the difference here is that this shows up this new window. So instead of showing on the left, it shows you on this window right here, which can be useful. So here you can see that this is massive because my font size is big, but for you it might be way smaller and nicer to see. So I usually use the Command F12 because it's easier. I can scroll down and I don't have to use the panel on the left hand side. So this is my preferred way to use this. I can click on it and you can see that that took me right into the hello2 function. So this is about the structure, tab, and functionality within Pycharm. In this section, let's learn about refactoring and how you're going to generate code using Pycharm. So if I cut all of this, you saw that when we started this course, I told you to type main, and you saw that IntelliJ, you saw that Pycharm just did its thing, right? So it just completed code. So there are many of these that help you to write code fast. So if I paste that in, what I want to show you is, let's say that we have a class right here. So let's have a file actually, and this will be person. And let's have a class of type person. And here, let's say that we want to have a constructor. Now we could go ahead and say underscore underscore init underscore, and you might not even know the syntax. Or what we can do is generate some code. I'm going to press Control and then Enter. And now you can see that we can override methods or implement methods. And you can see the keyboard shortcuts there. So Command O for override and to implement. So Command O, and here I can have the constructor there. And let's also say that we want to have Command O str. You can see that that's the string representation of an object. And I've just wrote like 7 lines of code by just pretty much just generating code. So if I was now to have, let's say in here, so I can say comma and then name, and now I can say self, and you can see that this is helping me. So self dot and then name equals to name. And then here I'm going to return name, and then just like that. And then check this out. I've just added these curly brackets. And now if I pass a variable, look what's going to happen. I'm going to say self. And you saw that now we have the F right here. So F for format, dot, and then name. Just like this. And now I can go back to main. And here I can say person. Just like that. And you know, I don't even need to write the import myself because Pycharm is telling me that I can press so option and then enter and have a look. So import right here, we're going to import and then person from person, and this is just beautiful because we're just generating code. We're not typing as much. And here I'm going to pass name, so name, and then dot, and then we have name, right? But if I now say, for example, this is P, or this is Alex, and let's have this Alex, oops, and then let's print Alex. So this is the actual object, and let me format things, run this, and now check this out, name, column, and then Alex. So if you want to learn about classes and whatnot, check my course where I cover all of this. But I just wanted to show you how to generate some code with PyCharm. And if you want to learn more about this, just go to the menus and then code and have a look. So generate, code completion, optimize imports, so on and so forth. So there you have it. This is how you generate code with PyCharm. Catch me in the next one. Right, let me show you how to extract code with PyCharm. So extracting is really cool and it allows us to extract code in various different ways. So let's say that in here we have this name right here, Ahmed, and we want to extract this to a variable. So we could do this. We could have name equals to, and then Ahmed, and then pass and then pass name in here, right? Just like that. We could do that, but this is long-winded. So what we can do instead is, so I'm going to press Command W to select Ahmed, and then I'm going to press Option, Command, and then V. And isn't that the same thing and much faster? Yes. And now I can even rename this, right? So let me just say name here, and there you have it. We can also extract to a method. So here, let's take all of this and say that we want a method that does the printing of Alex. So I'm going to press Option, Command, and then M. And by the way, you can see the keyboard shortcuts down below, right? Or if you're not quite sure of the keyboard shortcuts, go to Refactor, and then here you can see that we have Refactor, introduce variable constant parameter field method, right? So this is what I'm teaching you. So let's say that we want to have this into its own method. I'm going to press Option, Command, and then M, and we're going to give a method name. So let's say Alex, and then method. So this is not a good method name, but you just get the idea. And then OK. And now we have a method that does the exact same thing. So if I want to put it back, I can inline. So I can press Command and then Option and then N. And this just removes the declaration. And I can say Refactor, and it's just gone back, right? So Command Shift N, the same here with name. I can say, right, so I want to inline this, Option, Command, and then N, and then inline local variable, yes. So let me extract this to a variable again. So just Ahmed there, and now this to a method, because I want to show you something else. So Alex method that we had, and in here, let's say that we want to change this Alex, right, to P. We can refactor this by pressing Shift and then F6. And what we're going to do here, so we're going to say P, or we just want to rename code occurrences, right? We want to rename P here, and then we print P. And the reason why I'm doing this, right? So you saw that instead of us changing P here and then P here, it just does it for us, right? And the renaming thing works for both. So here, so works both for variable, classes, files, literally anything. Anytime that you rename something, you should use the rename functionality because it renames across everywhere. So keep that in mind. So here, let's do that again. So Shift and then F6. And then we want to rename just the code occurrences. We don't want to rename the actual variable there because I want to show you something, or the actual string. So here, I want to say P And then what I want to do with this is I want to take this Alex and then have that be a parameter that we can then pass as an argument. So I'm going to press Option, Command, and then P, and then check this out. So here we're going to say name, enter, and there we go. So that's the default. Let's say that we don't want the default. Let's just get rid of that. So everything that I'm teaching you is inside of here. So extract, variable, constant, field, parameter, but I'm just giving you the actual examples, right? So now check this out. If I scroll down in here, we can say Alex or any name, right? So let's say Ali, run the program, and you can see that we have name Ali. So there you have it. This is how you perform some basic refactor with PyCharm. It's quite powerful. I would encourage you to practice with some examples because you're going to end up using this quite a lot. All right, so I've showed you how to rename, and let me just show you one more time because I feel it's really important. So let's say that we want to rename this file here, right? So this file math.py, which we then import in here. Now, the best way of doing this is if I press Shift and then F6, and then let's say that we want to say here, you say math and then dash API, and you can search for references and comments, and also and also the scope, right? And this if I select it, you see that open files, recent change files, current file, so on and so forth. But let me leave it as it is, and then we can preview if we want before we refactor, or we can just refactor. So another trick here is if I press Option, you can see that we have these highlightings here, right? So R and then P, which means that I can press just with my keyboard R, and then that will trigger the refactor. If I press P, that will trigger the preview. So let me trigger the preview first. So P is telling me that, you know, there is a problem, and basically I think there is something weird when it comes to renaming files with PyCharm, but let me just cancel out of that. So I'm going to cancel out of that, and just let me give you another example here. So if you want to rename Ahmed, you press Shift F6, and then here let's just say name, and you can see that it updated everywhere. The same here. So let's say that we want to update that name here. I can press Shift F6, and then let's say add and then numbers, and then I can press Command and then R, right? Because I don't want to use the mouse, and you see where we're going with PyCharm, right? So it's allowing us to be so productive by just using these little tricks. So Option and then R, and you can see that it's showing me the usages, and I'm going to say just refactor, and I think still doesn't like it. So it actually refactored add numbers here. So let's check in math.py. Yes, it works, but I don't know why it was complaining. But here, for example, you see that the function name should be lowercase. Fine, let's rename again, and you can see renaming in action. So here, let's just say underscore and then numbers, and then refactor here, and then do refactor. And if we go back to main.py, there you have it. Right, one last thing that I want to show you when it comes to refactor is how do we replace things. So you've learned how to search and replace. So again, if I want to search for, let's say, the word Ahmed or the word hello, right? So I want to press Command F, and then let's search for hello, and you can see that we found one occurrence. If we want to replace, just press Command R, and now we can say replace hello with hello and then world, or maybe some Spanish, hola. And here you can see that we can replace, and we can also replace all. So if we have more than one occurrence, we can replace all in one go. So let me show you. So if I duplicate this and then press Command and then F and then R, and now we have two occurrences, I can replace one by one or replace all. So let's just replace all, and you can see that's done. If I go back, so I can replace one by one. So here, replace one. So this line 14 is replaced, and then replace again, and then 0 results. So that is awesome. So we can also search the way that we've done. So here, if I press Control Shift F, you can see that we can find in path. So hola, right? But now if I press Control Shift R, it's the same thing. We can replace. So let's just replace back to hello, or maybe ciao this time, right? So some Italian there. And if you remember correctly, so replacing path replaces literally everywhere, right? So let me just show you. So here, if I go, for example, to students.json here, and let's say that we have Maria and then hola, right? So here I'm searching within this file, but I'm going to search everywhere, which is Shift Control F, finding path, right? And if you forgot, so go to edit and then finding path. So this is what I'm doing, right? And you can see here replacing path as well. So I'm gonna find in path first, and you can even replace at the same time. And now actually let's just replace at the same time. So edit and then find, replacing path. We want to replace hola with ciao, and you can see that we found both in students.json and inside of main, right? So that's everywhere. Now we can go, and actually I can't see because my font size is too big, but you should see a button there that says to replace, right? So let me see if I can press Option and then R. No, that doesn't work here. Actually enter. So enter just works. So I've just pressed enter, and it's just doing one by one. But you should see a button that does the replacement for all instead of one by one. Enter, and there you have it. So if I now escape out of this and check this out, ciao. And if I open students.json, we have Maria Ciao. It's not her name. Let me just delete that. And there you have it. This is how you find and replace when it comes to refactoring. So I've been stressing a lot why you should be learning the keyboard shortcuts. So remember, for every action that we've done so far, if you want to find out the keyboard shortcut, you can use the search. So here, if I press Shift 2 times, you can see that we have this searching, right? And what I'm interested is the actions. So to access actions, you can press Shift, Command, and then A. So let me escape out of this, and then Shift, Command, and then A, and just like that. So here I can say, for example, extract method. So you've seen this, or maybe variable. So variable, introduce variable here. So that's when you extract with variable as well, and a bunch of things, right? So really the keyboard shortcuts is something that you should learn, and it comes with time, and by just watching, you're not going to learn it right away, right? Because you need to practice, and basically it comes with time. So what I say is, every time that you want to do something, right? Every time you want to do something, try and find the keyboard shortcut for it. That's the way that you're going to learn it. So PyCharm is very powerful, and by learning the keyboard shortcuts, you will fly with this IDE. It's just so powerful. So also you can see that here you can see here it gives you suggestions, right? It tells you right, so you should rename your variables, or you should do things this way or not. So for example, in this Alex method, you can see that I've got these yellow lines. So if I put my mouse there, you can see that function name should be lowercase. Fine. So you can see I can say, right, give me the more actions, right? So I'm going to press here, in my case, option, and then enter. Or you can ignore things like this, right? But what I'm going to do is actually press command and then enter. And then here you can see that I can say, right, I'm going to rename the element, and this will be Alex underscore and then method. And then if I press option, and then here you can see that it's highlighted R, and I can press R and then do refactor, and now it's renamed everywhere. So just be aware of those. And what you can do, right, is your mouse, right? Your mouse. You see that here I'm using my mouse. Now you could technically avoid using the mouse as well, right? If you're gonna go like, this is like becoming a pro. But for example, right, if I want to access this tab right here, so the project tab, and navigate around, if I want to do that, how do I do it? And then come back to type something. So here I'm going to press command and then 1. So that brings me to the project tab. Now I'm just going to use the arrows. So up arrow, or actually down arrow, and then up arrow, right? If I want to go back to the editor, I just press escape, and I can see that I'm right here. And if I want to close, command 1, open, just like that. So here, let's say that we want to open person.py. And if I want to go back to typing, I just press escape, and check this out. And there are even plugins that are just meant for this purpose. So here there is a shortcut. So if I go to actions here and then search for line. So I want to see line. Oh, actually, I think it's go to line. So go to line, right? So command and then G. So now you see there, right? I didn't remember the actual shortcut, but now I know that, if I want to go to a line number, I just press command and then G. So what I'm going to do here is, for example, let's say that I was in the project tab. So here, right, I was navigating around, then I press enter. So now actually, let me just press enter here and then go back. So press enter. And if I want to go back, I just press escape. Now, if I want to go back to line 1, I could use the up and down arrows, or I can press command G, and now I can go to line 1. There we go. Command G again, go to line 7, for example. And you can see the column as well, right? If you wanted to. So here, let's say column 7, and you can see that I'm right here, and this is amazing, right? So you can use just your keyboard alone if you wanted to, right? But this is more on the advanced level. But as you start learning PyCharm, I recommend you to start using these keyboard shortcuts and tricks that you've been learning throughout this course. So I just want to emphasize the power of keyboard shortcuts, and PyCharm is here to help you. Remember, it's here to help you to be more productive. Right, let's learn how to create a simple test with PyCharm. So when you write code, you should really be testing your functionality. So it doesn't make sense for you to write some code and then just hope that it works. You need to make sure and guarantee that whatever you build, it works for different edge cases. So with PyCharm, to create tests for your code is very simple. Let's say that we have a file right here. So let's have a Python file, and we're going to call this as gender and then underscore converter. Enter. And here let's have a function. And if you want to learn more about all of this, you can check my course where I teach about functions and whatnot. But for now, let's have a simple function here, and then let's say convert and then underscore and then gender. And here we're going to take gender, and we're going to say gender equals to, and then gender dot. And right here you see that we don't have any methods on this, and this is because PyCharm doesn't know the type of this parameter here. So let's say that this is an str, so just like that, str. And now I can say dot, and you can see that I can say and then upper. So let's uppercase this first, and then we're going to say if, and then gender equals, and then m, we're going to return male, and then elif, and then I want to grab this, and I'm going to say if gender equals f, so f like that, and I'm missing a column there, and here as well. I'm going to say female, and then else, we're going to return unknown, and then underscore gender. And I'm missing a column there. And let me format this. So Command Option and then L, and there we go. So here you see that we have this method. Let me put it smaller. So here we have a method, and we want to test this, right? So to create a test, just to make sure that it does what we want. So to create a test for this function here, we can open up the project right here, and then we can right click and then say new Python file, and then we can say Python unit test. So this is one way. Now remember, we are all about keyboard shortcuts. So if I escape out of this, and let's try and use, so let me just collapse that, and let's use actions. So here I'm going to say unit and then test. And let's see if we have anything here. So tests. So there isn't a keyboard shortcuts. Oh, actually here, go to test. So here is command and then shift T, right? Go to test. So let's actually try that. So command shift T. So you can see that it says I want to go to test, but there isn't one, and it's giving me the option to create a test. So let's create a test, and it's giving you the file name here. So test and then gender, and then the test class name will be test, and then the test function here is test converter gender. So that's what we want to test. And if I press OK, now check this out. So it actually generated the test for us. So if we were to manually create a test, we would need to say, right, so now we need to import unit test from test case, and then write a class test, pass the test case, and then you get the gist, right? So this is why the keyboard shortcuts is just amazing, right? So now we have some code generated for us. So if I go back here, so to this gender converter py, and let me press again shift command T, and now you can see that I do have the test. So I can navigate to it now, or I can create a new test if I wanted to, but I want to navigate to it, and this is our test class. And if I open up the project tab, you can see here. So this is the oh, actually not this one here. So this is the actual file that it generated for us. Next, let's go ahead and write a test to test that our code does work. Right, now that we have our test class, which has been generated. Let's write some tests to make sure that the convert gender method does work. So here, if you've noticed, we have these play buttons. So let's play these tests. So basically, it's just a way of running our tests. So let's run it. And in here, you can see that the test did fail. So you can see that run one test in 0.003 seconds, and then it did fail. So in here, so actually let me just expand this, and you can see that this is the test, right? So this is the test gender converter, this is the class, and then class test, which is this one, and then inside we have test gender converter, and it was a failure. So the reason why it failed is because we have here, so you can see that it says self.fail. So what we want is to pass. So we want to make this test to pass. So if I remove this from there, let's see if we can run it like this. So you can run every single test within this class or single test. So let's just run it, and no tests were found, right? So what we're going to do here is the following. We're going to say self dot and then assert equals, and here, so we have to pass the arguments, so first and second. So here, let's say that we have, so the first argument is hello. Oh, actually, let's just say M, and then the second one is male, just like that, right? So let's run the test again, and this fails, right? Let's check why. And I'm actually teaching you some unit testing here, right? So here you see that the assertion failed, and this is because it says expected, right? So we were expecting M to be equals to male, right? But it's not equal. That's what it's saying here. So now if I change this to M and then run it, hooray, you can see that we have green. So one test passed, right? So what we want to do is use our method. So we want to say convert underscore gender, and right here you see that we have these red lines. So import from here, or press option and then enter, import. Now here we're gonna pass M. So let's just pass M, right? And this gives us a gender. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna say actual. So this is the actual result, and let's have expected equals to, and then male. So now I'm going to say, right, so I'm going to have the actual here, and I'm going to pass expected. So let me move this down in here. So if I run this, and you see that it did pass, but we have some red errors here. And what is it saying? So it's actually saying that this being deprecated. So assert equals, and it says use assert equal instead. Fair enough. Let's use assert equal and then run again and check this out. Now everything passed. So okay, and no errors. So this is test. So here we are expecting, right, the output to be male, and we know that our method does work. So let's say test converted gender, and then when male, let's grab all of this, put it here. Let's say when female, and I just want to say that, you know, this probably is more on the advanced side of things, but I'm just showing you the testing functionality within PyCharm. So here, if we pass, let's say we pass F, right? I just want to show you first. Let's pass F. You can see that it failed, and this is because, so here we are expecting female, but we got male, right? So let's actually change this to female because we know that we want female here. There we go. And we can even change this to lowercase f because our function does an uppercase, right? So here, if I run it, you can see that it works. And finally, let's take everything again. So let's just paste everything, and then when unknown. And here, let's say hello, just like that. And then what we had in our function here was unknown gender. So let me grab this and then pass here. So this is the expected, and let me run. You can see that it works, right? So this is the individual test. So you can see that we have, so here we have 3 tests. So let's just run all of those, and I can expand this. And actually, let me just say show passed, and there we go. So you can see that we have 3 tests and some description as well. Test when female, when male, and when unknown. So this is just an introduction on unit testing with Python and PyCharm, and you can see the functionality of writing tests. So it's really cool, right? So here you can see like the information, how many failed, how many passed, the runtime, and a bunch of other interesting things. So I'm not expecting you to know testing, and if you're a bit confused, just give me a shout. I can give you some resources on how to learn testing, and testing is something that you will need to know at some point. This is all for now. Catch me on the next one. When you begin your career as a software engineer and writing Python code, you need to learn how to use any version control such as Git. So GitHub allows you to store your code in a remote repository where you can work by yourself or with a lot of people, right? So if you work for a company, then this is most likely what most companies will be using, or maybe another version control such as Bitbucket, and there are many others, right? But GitHub is one of the most famous out there. So it's very important you know how to use Git and GitHub. So if I go back to PyCharm, in here, let's access the menu. So here, remember we saw VCS. So basically here, we can work with any version control. So let's say that you want to enable version control integration for this project right here. So my Python app. So you can click on it, and then you see that you can select the actual version control. So what we want is Git. So you will 100% use Git unless you are working on some legacy projects, but most of the time will be Git, right? So you can say okay. Now let me cancel out of this. First I want to show you something. So here, if I go to VCS, you can see that we have VCS pop-up operations. So that's a keyboard shortcut. So let me go ahead and press Control and then V, and there we go, right? So here I do have all the options. So enable version control, create Git repository, so on and so forth. So let's enable Git in here. So let me just show you again. So here I've just selected enable version control and then okay. So from this point onwards, you can see that everything went red. Everything went red. And this is because now we have these controls here, right? So we can update the project, we can commit, and we can push. So learning Git is out of the scope of this project, but I just want to show you that you have the flexibility of committing and pushing code, right? So if I press Control and then V again, you can see that the options now are completely different. And this is because we enabled the version control. So here you can see that we can commit a file, we can roll back, we can push, we can stash, unstash, so on and so forth. So to commit a file, we can press Command K. The keyboard shortcut is just there. So let me press enter and check this out. So here you can see that we can browse some files. So if I put this bigger, so we can browse files. So here, so let's say that we want to add these files, right? So here, right? Because everything under venv is not ours, but all of this is ours, and also idea. So this is Pycharm, so this is not ours. So we want to add that. So we want to add to VCS in here, and then I can cancel. So now if I open up the project tab, you can see that this is green because we've added to VCS. And I'm not expecting you to know all of this, but I just want to show you that the integration is here. So now what I can do is I can push this to a remote branch. So if I press Control and then V, right, now here we can push the changes. But before, what we need to do is actually commit. So let's commit this. So I've just pressed the commit button there, or if I escape out of that, and you can see that we can press Command 0, right? Or I can press Command K and it's the same thing. So here, for example, I could say my and then project, and then first commit, and then commit. We're going to commit this. Let's just commit that. And we have two to-dos, remember, and we can review them, or we can just commit as they are. Let's commit. And there we go. So all of that has been committed. And you can see that it's no longer green. So here you can see that we have another tab here. So this is the Git one. And if I open that up, you can see that Nelson committed 5 minutes ago. And basically these were the changes, right? So this is everything that we've committed, and you can see the actual message in here, my project first commit. So if I collapse out of this, and you can see also the branch here, right? You can see the branch, which is master, and also in here we have the branch. So this is the local branch, and you can create new branches. So here, let's say that we want to create a new branch called feature and then -x, create, and now we have switched to a new branch. So here you can see that now we have two local branches. And one final thing that I want to show you is if I now, let's say that we have a new method. So here, let's duplicate this and then say subtract, and then here change plus to minus, just like that. So, and let me format. And now you can see that from line 4 to 7, this is green. And this is saying that these are new changes that we have made. And you can see the file is blue, right? math.py. So if you want, you can roll back the changes. So the line, everything is gone. Let me put it back. Or if we want now, we can say, right now, let's add this, right? So this is my change. Let's say now that we want to commit. So this is feature to subtract numbers. There we go. We can commit. And if I close this, now you can see that it's no longer green because we have committed. And if I press Control V, we can push the changes. So here we actually have to define remote and add the URL that you get from the repository that you create once you are up and running with GitHub or any other version control. So I'm going to leave it here because I don't want us to go out of the scope of this course, which is mainly about PyCharm. But just know that the functionality to work with Git and any other version control, it's actually really, really good. The idea of PyCharm is to give you everything that you need to write and build software without leaving your IDE. And I think that they have done a very good job with PyCharm, including all their other IDEs. Okie dokie, wow, you've managed to complete this course and I'm super happy for you. So hopefully now you can see the power of PyCharm, and I don't expect you to, remember everything that we've covered, because these things, they come when you use more and more and more and practice and practice and practice. So what I want to tell you is that you should be trying to use the keyboard shortcuts. If you want to do something, then maybe perhaps try and use actions, right? You've learned about actions. Use actions just to find out what is the keyboard shortcut and then start using the keyboard shortcuts. Also, make sure you have presentation assistant, because that way you will remember the keyboard shortcuts much faster, and at some point you will not need it anymore. So I've used it before and I recommend you also use it. If you want to learn more about Python or are interested in Python courses, go ahead and check my website where I've got a selection of Python courses ready for you. This is all for now. I had fun teaching you this awesome IDE, and I'll catch you on the next one. Assalamu alaikum.